Okay. Can everyone hear me okay? I believe this is everyone I saw. We'll do one final yell. If there's any fuel in that, can we get the fireplace going? Alright, well, I'm going to take the no response as a no. Okay, so for right now, unless spoken to or called upon, I'd appreciate if you kept your silence. Alright, well, first off, if you did not know, though I believe most of you do, I am now currently head in command as per Dr. Natalie's instructions. Because of that, there are going to be a few changes around here. Nothing in a negative way, just a lot of positions that needed to be filled, that sort of thing. I guess actually before we start, Clover, can you make sure you turn on that camera, please? Make sure it's running. Perfect. Ideal. Okay, so as I said, I am now first in command on this base. First order of business is I have made Clover my second. So after, you know, if you can't find me and you need something that something's real important, especially if you're a department head, you defer to Clover. Any reports, any information, you can go to her if I'm not around. After us, the hierarchy is very simple as it was before. Department heads are below us. So if you need something and neither Clover and I are around, department head is a great place to start. First up, Eliana. We have tasked you with being head of engineering. First, really for engineering right now, we've got a short list of things. Battle bus project, we need we got the battle bus project. We need propane, metal for that. That'll get into that on requisitions. Uh, we need more rain barrels, especially, and more plumbing. We need a security entrance. Anybody in engineering who wants to start taking thanks, Hayes. Uh, Anybody's got any ideas for plans? Essentially, I believe Annette has some pretty good ideas on what we want to do for the security entrance, so you can work together with Eliana on that. We need gas barrels. You see them out in the wasteland. We got to grab them and start filling them up with gas. Preferably, I want to have some gas barrels and some bottles basically next to all the generators. The windows here in this room seem to have already been fixed. Uh, which is actually great. More shells, shrapnel shells. Uh, Anybody who's able to make them and can do that, especially if you're in engineering, I encourage you to do so. Yuki has been doing a great job with it, but every little bit helps. And in general, this will come up again, but we need basically as much metal as possible. Um, Before I move on, Eliana, is there anything you'd like to say as head of engineering? That is correct. I would prefer if we try and keep the scrap that we have. That is a great issue to bring up. Now, I want engineering to make sure we're not using scrap metal just for any old thing. That we treat it with its correct value. I don't want to see people making frivolous things to get better at metalworking or something. You do that with your own materials, and frankly, we do have a decent amount of metal workers. So if that's something you're looking to get better at, approach Eliana, and she can give you some tasks that both need to be done without, sapping us of supplies. Was there anything else, Eliana? Perfect. Next up is Annette is going to be head of security and scavenging. This is now one department. In general, security are armed and combat ready, or at least should be. And in that case, they are perfect candidates for both going on scavenging runs and protecting, uh, not combat ready personnel on said scavenging runs as well, or on important missions. Um, requests for equipment to be scavenged from other department heads can be posted for Annette on the notice board down in the front lobby. If you're, engineer and you're like, oh, I need tweezers for some reason, right? You go down, you write on the list, you add it there. Makes it real easy to get things done. It also means that you can point to the newbies when they're asking, what do we need? That you can point directly to something they can grab. Perfect. Ideal. Now, as with security, I want all security personnel to focus on following orders from Annette or other department heads, and de-escalating situations rather than immediately jump into violence. We are not the nomads, okay? The punishment for trespassing or something like is not a bullet to the head. If something is serious enough, our first preference is of anybody accused of harming us or anything, uh, is to basically capture them and either imprison them or just get them off the base and you can write a report. Um, that being, and again, with prisoners, I need you to treat them nicely. If nomenclature as a whole, or we decide to do anything less savory as human testing, that'll be up to department heads and etc. You shouldn't be taking initiative on this. But overall, security should be focused on taking research personnel or less combat personnel out into the field. Generally, Annette will be looking at security holes, things like that. Uh, and however, if you have anything of that concern, feel free to bring it up to her or Eliana in engineering. If it's like, oh, there's a hole in the wall, right? You go over and you tell her about it. Again, if no one else is around, Clover and I are also able to handle these questions. Uh, Ammo and guns should not be given out lightly. And I, for the current time being, would like especially things like shrapnel shells to be passed by me or Clover before we start giving them out. Annette, is there anything you'd like to add? That is a great idea. I was going to bring that up in projects and missions, but yes, we will be organizing another training event. Uh, sorry, a training exercise. Now, however, on that note, and I want to make myself perfectly clear, and feel free to tell other personnel this, but when we're out in the field, chain of command, either department heads or, frankly, whoever's got the most education, um, are in charge of a mission. You follow their orders without fail. If they say jump, you say how high. If they say fall back, you fall back. There have been far too many recent incidents of people not following orders. And I will not hesitate to rip up your contract, throw you out in disgust if pardon my French, if these orders aren't followed. It is imperative to all our lives that people follow orders. It is better to make one mistake as a group than take two different routes to the same goal, and you will most likely fail. If you have a problem with your leadership and you seem to think that it isn't working out, you are welcome to come to Clover and me. However, I will admit, I think my choices are, well, they speak for themselves. But regardless, your default should be following orders. Now, was there anything else on that? And Ron, I will be opening up questions at the end. Perfect. Ideal. Now, are you here? Okay, well, he isn't present, but Carl is our new quartermaster. He's in charge of organizing and equipping teams for expeditions. Now, obviously, department heads like security and scavenging, you are capable of doing that yourself. However, he has a great idea of where stuff is, how much of we have, our stock, our levels. I expect Annette and Carl to be working closely, as Annette will be handling requisitions and Carl will be aware of what we need and what we're low on. If he tells you where to put something, right, you listen. No questions asked. And again, he is a department head, so it is important that we keep, respect his authority. Normally I'd open up to Carl, but he ain't here. So next up is Dr. Lockwood. Despite maybe some rumors, uh, Dr. Lockwood is in fact still head of medicine and will continue to be so for the foreseeable future.
All right. We're a little short on scientists now, since we had a few people leave and a few people unfortunately die. So mostly I would like to see if we can get somebody to help do a trip to the hospital in the gas zone to look for a few things there. I think we can probably find some things there that will assist quite a lot. Is everything all right? All right. Well, otherwise, I've not heard anything out of the Nomads Union on their research for quite some time. I'm starting to expect that they are not. They're either not sharing their information with us, or they have hit a wall and are too embarrassed to say. So
I actually
we
do
are
have.
going to have to assume they won't.
I do have insight on that.
Oh.
Yeah. The Mr. Foster has spoken to me, and I'll get into it a little bit later. But essentially, the Nomads Union, I guess it'd be a great time to get into it now. The Nomads Union are now essentially officially allied with us here in Raven Creek, in the sense that Mr. Foster has elected to give me all of their current research that they have, the access to the key cards, and has basically said he will give anything that he can give and that we ask for. Going forward, he, has essentially deferred to me and my judgment. He has, of course, shown me this research. I got to get it from him, still in writing. But he was able to show me everything Dr. Wesley is working on. I do not believe Dr. Wesley is with them anymore. So they do not have any more scientists. However, getting that card is a huge win for us, as well as any research they may have had. Though Mr. Foster did imply that Dr. Wesley was struggling and hitting some roadblocks. How much of that was, yeah, like how much of that was like his lack of support? They aren't exactly set up for scientists or what have you. I am not at liberty to say. A horde situation in front of the gates. Is it directly in front of the gates?
Is it here now?
For fuck's sake. If it's close by and it's over by the Nomads, these people need to learn to deal with it themselves for a hot sec. Unless it's directly outside the gates, we need to get through this or we never will. If I'm being totally honest, Annabelle and Henry aren't exactly the words I would, unless it's outside the gates, I trust on the severity on the situation. So let's try and go through this quick, and then we can go help. Frankly,
sorry.
I was just going to say the Nomads should be able to deal with military situations like that anyway. That's kind of what their job is. But please continue, Dr. Lockwood.
Yes, I would hope so. Otherwise, I'm going to be working with the Raven Creek survivors a bit when I can. I've agreed to give them as much of my research as possible. I know they've said that they can reach out. I don't know if you heard, there was a recent message talking about us perhaps getting to meet Mr. Stern soon, so I'm expecting to try and offer the treatment and cure for him. Otherwise, it's just ongoing. I imagine when we finally are able to get all the things together to go into Redstone, that's going to be where most of the next research comes from.
Wonderful. Ideal. Other than that, Dr. Lockwood, it's perfect timing. Actually, Evelyn here is part of your department. She's got an old world degree in psychiatry, I believe. So I know that's not terribly relevant to your research, but just so you know, if anybody needs to be sent to her.
It might be, actually, with the type 3s, that certainly could assist. One of the things that we're struggling with is how much of their injuries are trauma based and how much is brain damage. We should try and get the MRI up and running as well if we can get the engineering department to do that, but that's I realize that's possibly not the highest priority with everything that's going on.
Honestly, it shouldn't be that hard, actually. That's all next on my list, Doctor. That we should absolutely schedule that. The only thing you're going to have to let engineering know where you'd want it. Just I know that like there's some plans of where it was gonna go, etc. And that's something if you could pass the word around, either Eliana, Clover, or myself, we'd appreciate it.
Sure. I mean, I was thinking probably just near the space that we've been keeping Louise and by the operating theatre, because like there's that whole space just on this floor, just to the east side of the building, sort of northeast, that's got plenty of space.
Ideal. Sounds great.
Are you on 101, Vincent?
No.
Eliana is saying that they need everyone to the east fences now.
Guys, the east fences are going to be fine if you're talking like the east fences by our gates. If you're talking the east fences on the checkpoint, then just back out and wait, and we'll bring full force in. We'll organize it, but going off half-cocked isn't going to help.
This is Justin here. Assessing the situation, there is definitely way more than we've ever fucking handled. If they find a way through, the Nomads and Nomenclature are probably going to be fucked.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you, all of you out there, this is and make sure to blade the order. You need to get them, don't lead them back towards our bases, and regroup at either the Nomads or in the Nomenclature lobby for now, please.
Yeah. Do you have any pipe bombs spare?
We ain't using, no. No. We will rendezvous and discuss tactics there.
Ellie, there's about, I can't even count how many there is.
If I'm being totally honest, they are going looking for a horde, and I'm about to lose my patience. If they don't draw it towards our bases, it's going to be fine. We can go deal with it later. Yes, Dr. Lockwood, we do need to discuss, we had found some strange chemicals in an Onyx lab a couple weeks ago, and for whatever reason or not, they were in Bird's office, and we never actually got you to analyze them. I mean, you've mentioned you're good at medical chemistry. This should, by our estimation, have something to do with controlling type 3s, is our best guess.
I can certainly do that. Alright, I can certainly work out what those are.
Perfect. Ideal. And anything else you wanted to add, Dr. Lockwood? Ideal. Next up is Sophina. She is now head of what I'm calling hospitality. In that all food requests will be going through her. Anything to do with the kitchen and the rec room is her domain, and even other department heads, for the most part, should be deferring to her when it comes to this area. That'll also apply to the bar. With the bar there, we had a good time the other night. However, I'm going to be making very clear some policies. First and foremost, when we're in the bar, we should not be having weapons. Engineering or yet another department we can set up to have some cases outside with keys. That's not a problem. There is to be no violence in the bar. And any, especially outsiders, who come here to cause problems, they can be escorted out. And Sophina is well within her right to kick anybody out of that bar. Obviously, we have been charging for drinks, scrap metal. She also gets to decide if something else is worth trading. As for tasks, I would like continued creation of, frankly, this seems to be the most shelf-stable food for whatever reason, burritos. We want to get more storage in the back, and I want as many made as possible in that they're easy to hand out during exercises. Uh, with that, I'd also point out that her, Sofina and Carl will be working together once I have briefed them both on our housing situation, making sure people got rooms, where they are, everything's labeled, that sort of thing. Um, that does not mean to hound Sofina for a new room. It just means she's the one who's going to be in charge of it. Uh, with that, was there anything you would like to bring up, Sofina? Clover can go help deal with it. If I'm being honest, it doesn't sound like they followed direct orders, but whatever. We'll deal with it when it comes. Uh, let's see here. Sorry, if you got nothing else to add, I'm going to talk about our relationship with the other factions real quick. I already discussed the nomads. There is no change in our relationship with the farmers. You be cordial, do not insult their beliefs, and make sure to pass this down to others. Archivists, we are not a charity. However, Professor Jessica Carter is a biologist, and frankly, the only biologist on the island. And if she or any other archivist I name, uh, asks for any materials that are within reason. No, I need both keys to the lab and to know where the samples are. I don't have keys. The only thing I don't have keys for is your lab and your office for obvious reasons. So, you got keys to every other door in this base. We'll definitely need to sort that out. Thank you so much. Perfect. Yes, Yuki? Yeah, that seems like a thing that we shouldn't be leading. We should definitely at all cost. We should at all costs not be leading them there. They shouldn't migrate here unless somebody bleeds them here, which is why I told them to back off and leave it alone for now. Um, Perfect. So yeah, with archivists, sorry. If they ask for something and they need it, and it's within reason, especially if a department head says so. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Doctor. Um, they are able to requisition it. Again, within reason, and generally, I want you guys deferring to department heads, especially Carl. But it depends on what it relates to. If even a department head feels uncomfortable giving those resources, please make that judgment call, and you can wait for Clover Eye to make the call. As I mentioned, Professor Jesse Carter will be conducting the biological research. If she says anything to the tune of she really needs it, and Clover and I aren't around, and it's for that biological research, I will allow it, and we'll deal with any fallout later. Generally, we should not be starting any hostilities with the archivists. We need scientists. We need people with educations. We're dead in the water if we don't have them. I don't want to see any petty squabbles, and if I hear about people harassing them, there will be consequences. Brings me to the Creek survivors. Real simple. Don't fuck with them. Just don't fuck with them. you don't necessarily speak for Clover and I when you talk to them, other than maybe Dr. Lockwood. And in that case, I don't want you interacting with them in any way that could ever be considered hostile. Doing so will you will face oof, you will face consequences. And home stretch here, folks, and then we can group up and deal with that horde. Annette, this is good you're back here. Requisition list, she can update, but right now, if anybody's got something to add from what I'm about to say, I'd appreciate it. Metal of all kinds, mirrors, white glue, old war guns, all ammo, gravel, rope, stones, nails, medical supplies, water jugs, motors, engine parts, propane tanks, seeds, and anything else you guys would like to suggest. I will be posting a list, as I said, on the board, and Annette can add things to it as she pleases. Evidently, someone needs a blood transfusion. Standard procedure around here. Or if you're talking about the stuff, a variety of things. But trust me when I say we need it. Other than that, I know we got pressing matters, but was there anything anyone would like to ask? I will open up the floor to questions. Perfect. Shoot. No worries. I'm sure Algon will respond in time. For now, you can either belay to Dr. Lockwood, or if you would like to work with Dr. Abbott, we can point you towards the research materials on the Type 3, and if Dr. Lockwood found it suitable, I believe it would be great for you to work with the Type 3, seeing as your background would allow you maybe to take a more, well, compared to Dr. Abbott, reasonable approach and maybe slower. The one thing I can say on that topic, the one thing I was going to say about the topic that I don't know if I reported, I think I did tell Dr. Lockwood, but is that the last time Dr. Abbott had tried to have a session with her, she spent about 6 hours saying fast egg, which was her way of compressed saying, and now I'm quoting her directly, slow down, talk slower, or shut the fuck up, is her direct quote. So I believe a maybe more, a less cold approach may be something I would suggest after my interaction. But other than that, Dr. Lockwood might be able to either debrief you better or point you in the direction of the research materials that would help you. Perfect. Ideal. With any other questions, concerns? I swear, people who are with the nomads seem to really have a knack for not staying calm in important situations. I'll be having a talk with Reese.
Frankly, even if there are 6,000, as someone just was saying, we can probably handle 6,000. We just need to split them up and take them on reasonably.
I swear to God. Yeah, it's not that big. It's not that big a deal. We'll be fine.
The biggest thing with 6,000 is obviously you don't want to fight them all at once, but there's enough of us to split them up.
Sorry, now, any other questions? Wraith, I would love to work with you personally. I've got some engineering projects I'd like you to work with, and maybe just a rough. We didn't get a chance to go over your education and anything you might be able to help with. So we'll definitely have a one-on-one at some point, and you could debrief me. And sorry if I missed it. Was there anyone else? I continue. Ron, I thought you said you're from Nomenclature. No, there won't be a list of complaints for upper staff. If you have problems, you can bring them to Clover and I, but I assure you that our senior staff are trustworthy individuals. As well as we are already being quite lenient in that we give, as Nomenclature, respect to those without degrees, including myself, frankly. However, no, I will not have an open list of complaints from my upper staff. At this point, all of the people I have chosen to be my upper staff are all well proven in their fields. And I defer to their expert opinions whenever I feel necessary. I think it might be good to point out that while I might not run things exactly how others may, this is not a democracy. I am open to ideas, suggestions, and input, but if I say something, if I make an order, I expect it to be followed. And if you got a problem with the way I have been dealing with things, you can come directly to me. Now, are there any other questions? That's something we can talk about later, Evelyn, but yes, if you're working on the Type 3, that would absolutely expedite your probation. Alright, one last time. Anybody else? Yes, Connor. I actually have decided. Ah, see, perfect. Hayes has got it. Um, I'll talk to Dr. Lockwood. I'd like to hold another large meeting so we could share everything we're working on. Obviously, there are a bunch of uh, frankly, storytellers on the radio right now that I'm feeling more and more need to deal with, not because of the Horde, but because of the obvious disobedience and lack of structure the Nomads are showing, which is something I know Mr. Foster would be furious about. Questions about probation, stuff like that, we can talk about it personally later. Uh, it's not as much a pressing matter, but I will look into that for you. Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Anything like that, if you find goods and you're unable to take them back, that's a great thing to either talk to Annette or Carl about, or even post on our board down in the lobby. Right in front of the med bay is a lot of paper and paper with tape on it. Please utilize that. If we run out, I can ask for more. That being said, do not hoard it. Okay, we need it for things, but it is there for use. Yeah. Again, any kind of pots and stuff that you found, that's the kind of thing you bring to a net at requisitions, or if it's specific to an apartment, that department head. Anyone else? All right. As that seems to be everything, our next order of business will to be sorting out some of the obvious confusion and things. I'm going to have to get on the radio and deal with that. Annette, security, I would like you to gather up the shrapnel shells we have, um, and get anybody who's halfway decent with a gun equipped. Unless you have to go. Okay, I'm gonna go deal with that. Great meeting. It is on recording. Someone please turn off the camera for me. We will. I will be putting this in the screening room for everybody to use. Other than that, everybody get yourselves geared up, and we'll deal with the situation at hand.